Okay, so energetic protection with music and harmony as a theme. So, music is structure, at least in the four dimensions we're used to dealing with. It has width, breadth, height, and it has duration, and it can be in a certain location. So, in some ways, we are like that. We are a piece of music. We have a shape, and we have a duration, and we have a rhythm. And there's lots of stuff within Taoism and within other religions about the will of the Tao and the pattern following the Tao, allowing the natural harmony to be what it is. Discord could be illness, or when we're being affected by someone else, or we're unhappy, or the rhythm gets stopped, or we're frozen, or we're chaotic, or anything unpleasant. And how would we look at dealing with that? Well, most of nature has, including us, has a natural set of abilities to retune itself. And where it gets tricky with us is that we have this brilliant mind and free will and this personality and this ego that's in somewhat push against that and stop it from achieving itself. So it's really about coming back to what is natural and what feels good within us, which will be different from us all, for us all, but as human beings, there will be some common ground. And as I just settle into that, settle into what's natural and good for us. So obviously we want to self-soothe and we want to go to the things that do soothe us. Part of the issue is that because, again, humans have a mind that isn't physical, and intelligence and spirituality and all these other layers, higher frequencies, we have the ability to go out of the body. We do it when we sleep regularly. And we also do it in other scenarios completely or partially. We go out the body to a comfortable place because the body isn't so comfortable a place to be in that moment. The problem is that we metaphorically leave it vacated with an open door. It's at that point that other people's energies can affect us in some way. This doesn't happen to animals particularly, and one of the reasons it happens by choice or sheer necessity is because the ego, the personality, the sense of self can't bear what's happening to it in a certain moment. Animals don't have that problem because they live in the moment. So we have that choice to go out. But there's also an extra choice, and there's the way in which an individual, particular person will go out and to what extent and when and how. We have a separate choice, which is be comfortable in the body. If we can stay embodied in the body, we still actually have that propensity to go to think, to go to different places of thought, to visualize, to do all of those things. It's just that instead of going out, we kind of go in towards our central channel. And from there, we can be as comfortable as we can be in a given situation, which will take some doing and mitigation and playing with the scenario, but it will stop us being affected by other people's stuff. And when we're out of the body, we don't know how much that's occurring. And we have to deal with it all when we next check in with ourselves and we find that we feel not like ourselves and basically like crap. So an example of that, if we feel deep into our bodies when we feel reasonable, we might find what I'll call some music. That means that there's something that is moving, there is a pattern that's expressing. And it'll probably have some regularity. Who's to say what it is? And if it doesn't, if it's a bit frenetic, it's a matter of listening to that song, listening to that set of sensations that may seem chaotic at first, and allowing it to speak itself. And eventually it will speak itself into an increasing state of harmony and calm. So it's very much about allowing the song of life to just play out. When we first check in with that, that might be very unpleasant and buzzy, or cold and dead, or frenetic, or hot and nasty. Much of the problem comes, though, in our making stories with that personality and that mind, making stories about what we feel, which tends to either lock it in or maybe hate on it or completely disassociate from it. The rub to all this is that we might have to check in with unpleasant feelings for a short amount of time, but we won't necessarily need to make a story or a judgment. And from that position, we can just keep listening and letting the thing play itself out. Just feeling for a rhythm or sense of frequency, or there might just be qualities. Sound and music is only an analogy. One of the reasons that sound and music affects us is because of the sensations it causes at deep levels in our bodies. So one of the ways we can find these pleasant places in our bodies is to listen to music with the intent of feeling what goes on in our bodies as we listen to that. It's not about the style or the genre or the artist. It's just about the inherent quality of rhythm and frequency. And the Taoist thing is very much to let the Tao, or you could say the will of God, or whatever your particular faith is, to just let, in this particular corner of the Tao, this little bubble that is you, just let the will of the Tao be. And that basically means just listen without judgment. And just listen to the process that's going on within you. And let it gradually do what it's doing. Now, it often will get less frenetic, and those rhythms can slow, and they can almost become at times so slow they appear to have stopped. Because silence is a part of music. So one of the ways not to get affected is to be able to associate with those rhythms and qualities within your body which you can do lots of kinesthetic work to find, including squeezing, twisting, brushing, just feeling what your body likes. So it's an invitation to explore. And the quality of getting into your body will, because your body runs at a slower frequency and rhythm than your energy, emotions, or mind, it will slow you down. And we can, once you find those qualities and be able to identify them and call upon them, then in a given situation, and it is somewhat a skill to be learned gradually, but you can become embodied and embodied to those qualities and rhythms. And the principle basically then is that if you hold yourself at a certain frequency, anything that comes towards you has to come up to that frequency, by which point it's going to have changed. It's going to change the thing coming towards you until a state that fits with your frequency. The mistake is made when, through social convention and everything, we match ourselves to other people's rhythms and frequencies, chaos, whatever it may be, and we let our bodies match to other people in order to be compliant and to avoid conflict of all kind. Inevitably, this won't always be a perfect process, and it's really the higher end of it. The beginning part really comes with observing and finding natural rhythms within your body and staying with them as a practice, noticing when those natural rhythms and frequencies and sensations have been affected in some way, often to the negative. And then we can often, from there, we can find some part of our body that still does feel right to us, and we can associate and identify with that part of the body and tune into its rhythms and qualities. And essentially, it'll just start to sing its song through the entire system. And without a story, we'll just notice that we are very slowly coming back to blueprint and coming back to a natural place and a rhythm that is soothing to us, because we're locked into this reality with each other, and co-regulation is something we all need, and that can be within the environment and other people and spaces around us. So this is very much about noticing what works for you. Rhythm can be also, music can be things like proximity, space. What is the amount of space that is comfortable to you? What is a distance that you like to gaze at in order to feel spacious or comfortable? Perhaps you need boundaries around you to make you feel comfortable. Perhaps you need less boundaries around you to make you feel comfortable, etc. So there we go. There's a theme for what we're going to do. We're going to relate to the kind of metaphor of music and dissonance or disharmony, and how the two can't really exist at any one time, and how we can relate to that. Actually, some people feel they actually hear music all the time in their minds. Other ways to go with that is through sensations that always have essentially the same qualities of music, of rhythm, duration, tone, timbre. And the same goes for things that we feel outside the body, kinesthetic touch. And the same also goes for things we look at. So through those kind of methods, essentially what we are doing is taking our polyvagal system from fight and flight to rest and digest. And from there, the body will naturally regulate itself.